All right, so I've finally figured out how I can actually cut. And I'm still a little bulked right now, but like the pounds are actually starting to come off easily. I really just have to lose this waist area and then I'll be looking pretty good. And so I've always struggled with cutting because I like to eat high calorie foods, like high fat foods. And so anyways, I'm gonna make this quick about how to like cut while doing mostly like animal products and to kind of eat in line with like the raw primal people, like raw meat people, because that has a lot of truth to it. So I'm gonna make this a quick video, but yeah, here's like a physique check, like things are working out pretty good. I don't know if you can see my back or not, this probably looks terrible. Um, and anyway, so, all right, let's get right into it. So I made a list here actually, and the first thing that we're going to do or talk about is in the morning, if you want to lose weight, this is how to cut weight. So in the morning, you have to do coffee and cardio, fasted cardio. Now, you can play around it with your own schedule, but this is how I do it. So in the morning, you want to do fasted cardio because I feel like it actually burns the best amount of like pure fat calories. Some people disagree, but okay, anyways. So what you want is you want black coffee, cold brew, or black coffee, but I like cold brew. So I get I don't have it here, I'm out, but I get the $5 plastic Starbucks cold brew. That's it. That's like next to the milk. It's like 6 servings or so of cold brew for $5. So a little over $1 per serving, which is pretty good. So you get one of those. You just drink black coffee when you wake up, which eventually once you're allowed to eat higher calories, you can add some cream so it's not as toxic. But anyways, you want just straight black coffee because you don't want to have to like be digesting any sort of food while you're burning calories. Okay, so then you get your black coffee, then you get on the either elliptical or incline treadmill, and you do a resistance where you're not actually running, but you're like it's at a higher resistance level. So it's more so like you're like walking, like slowly walking on the elliptical in like slow motion because there's like high resistance. And the elliptical settings are different for each machine, but on the elliptical I use 10 incline, 10 resistance or something. But the incline treadmill, I do know. I do 15 incline, which is really high, usually the max incline, and anywhere from around 3.3 to 4 speed, which I think is miles per hour. Usually about 3.5. So that's the biggest importance. That's the most important thing to actually burn calories. So next, you come back and then you eat your first meal of the day. And the thing about black coffee is it really suppresses your appetite really well. So the next thing is you get eggs. I get 2 raw eggs. I crack them in a cup, and then I have a quarter of a pound of raw meat, exactly. And you can also have a sweet potato, especially if you're about to go work out next. So anyways, I'll show you exactly what I do. Okay, so in the fridge, I have these packs of meat from Walmart, 93%. That's lower fat. And what I do is I cut out literally a quarter and I use ketchup, organic ketchup, because it has a little bit of carbs, which are actually good for this purpose. So I eat a quarter of a pound of raw beef with this herb blend. It's not too bad. And with ketchup. And that's good because you need protein. And then you also get the fats from the egg yolks, which I'm currently using those. Another thing is we need to be eating sardines, especially if you're European descent, because like that's the reason why so many Northern Europeans are really smart, is because of the high DHA content in fish. And in America, we're missing a lot of that. So anyways, this is a really important meal. You need the high fats from the eggs, from the meat. And so that'll be very satiating, but it's also really important because red meat, you want red meat for this meal. Red meat, like beef, has carnitine, and carnitine is what fuels, or it shuttles like fat into like the bloodstream to use as energy or something like that. But the carnitine uses your own fat cells as fuel. So that's very good. Okay, and next is a sweet potato. This, you want to have a sweet potato or maybe some mango. Mango could also be used here, frozen mango chunks. I'll show you them. I use these from Walmart. Like, actually a lifesaver. These are the only carbs you want. So that is because you need the carbs to fuel your actual workout, your sarcoplasmic slave workout. If you're doing that. If you're a girl, you might not need to do that. But if you're a guy, it helps if you can do it. I do 3 a week because of work. So then you eat this meal, you eat your sweet potato. I just throw a sweet potato in the microwave for like 6 minutes because, dude, sweet potatoes take like 45 freaking minutes to cook. So, you know, I don't really care about the cancer from the microwave because it's just carbs. It's not really, I don't know, causing too many carcinogens. I think it's okay. I've done it for a while. I think it's fine. So anyways, you get either your sweet potato or your mango. So then you have a great meal, not too heavy, carbs that will fuel your workout, your slave workout. And so then once that digests, you want to figure out your own timing. Then you wait a while for that to digest, and then you take your pre-workout powder if you want. And then you take that, and then you want something with L-citrulline because that is going to give you the pump in the gym. And you actually want this for sarcoplasmic slave workouts. Not a real workout, like I'll mention in other videos. But, so anyways, yeah, we're doing a sarcoplasmic slave workout. And so let's talk about that for a second, because this is important, and this is a mistake I've been making. So if you do a real workout where you actually get real muscle damage, it's gonna be stupid to cut while you're doing this. And this is why genetic beasts and certain people who know about this never cut and say never to cut, because it is impossible to cut, almost impossible. I can't imagine doing it myself. Impossible to cut while doing real muscle training, or at least primarily real muscle training, because when you actually get real muscle damage, which is real training, that damage will need to repair for minimum 7 to 10 days, and you will need to be in such a positive nitrogen balance that it will put you in a caloric surplus, making it really difficult to lose fat. And now I'm sure you could do something, some sort of fix by doing keto or really low carb. And I tried that, and that sucked. I hated it. So I'm not doing that. So what the real goal is, what the strategy here is to do on the cut, you do sarcoplasmic slave training. It's very important. Just watch anyone. Watch Mike Israetel, watch Jeff Side, watch anyone you want, because everyone does sarcoplasmic, pump farming, glycogen pumping training, right? Mechanical tension, blah, blah, blah. So just watch anyone, just do a normal 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 15 per exercise, 4 sets. And don't go to failure. Don't do that. Just go like, oh my gosh, watch David Lade. Remember this clip where Sebum says, like, why aren't you going to failure? And he goes, well, I'm trying to save my energy. And he goes, that's not how you train. That is how you train for aesthetics. And that's why David Lade is number 1, man. Number freaking 1 aesthetic god. Because you know what? He's number 1 aesthetic sarcoplasmic slave. It's amazing. And that's what you want to do on the cut. The bulk is when we'll get into real muscle training, but here we're not doing that. No. Okay, next, after your meal, you're gonna have the rest of the 75% of your 3/4 of a pound of your beef. That is going to give you great protein, give you around 30-ish grams of fat, mostly saturated. And then you can also have a few eggs. You need to be counting your calories while doing this on Chronometer, ideally. If you follow this split, you'll be low enough. And you can have a few eggs if you want. So today I popped 2 eggs immediately because they digest really quickly. Raw eggs digest in 37 minutes, according to that one guy. And so anyways, I popped 2 raw eggs immediately, ate the raw meat, literally feel nothing on your stomach. It's just incredible. So what next? And then you can have a sweet potato if you want. This also depends on your calories. I find that sweet potatoes can actually increase your metabolism. Like I can actually feel my body temperature rising. That's what happened to me yesterday while I was working and I had this meal at work. So that was cool. But it's not necessary. Not necessary to have carbs midday unless you really feel the need for energy. So next is dinner. Which dinner you actually want to, this is like a late dinner. I'm talking, if you go to bed at like a normal person at midnight, dinner is maybe 9 o'clock or so. So dinner, you want like a small amount of meat. Like maybe you could do sardines and just sardines and some eggs. You want, or honestly, maybe like 1/4 of a pound of ground beef and sardines would be perfect. I think tonight I'm actually gonna do chicken breast because I've been wanting some chicken. And you can get the really cheap frozen kind from Walmart. Very cheap, cost effective, and throw it in the air fryer. Yeah, it's cooked, but I'm not gonna pay frickin' $12 for a pound of organic pasture-raised chicken. That's so stupid unless you're rich. So yeah, you cook that because that is toxic chicken. Cook it and eat it with a little bit of ketchup or something, low-calorie sauce. And then, so you eat that by itself at roughly 9. And if you're going to bed at midnight, you're probably gonna get slightly hungry. So maybe 10 o'clock, 10:30, you have maybe 10. You have cottage cheese. And you can also have cottage cheese and an egg, some eggs, raw eggs, if your appetite is feeling larger than optimal before sleep. And that's gonna keep you full during the night. It's gonna lower your cortisol, but to really lower your cortisol, this is super, super important, is the last final meal, the last food you eat. Which is a sweet potato / mango. Okay, because your liver, you just won't sleep well if you don't have liver glycogen, especially me. I can't do it. That's why I can't do keto. It's just ridiculous. Especially if you consume caffeine. You need liver glycogen. So honestly, what's worked the best so far is sweet potato before bed. I was doing mango for a long time, but something about the sweet potatoes extended carb release really I feel like it lowers your cortisol more, and your body's just a lot more relaxed and it absorbs over time with your liver, so it doesn't absorb all at once, and it also it's just smooth. So that is the meals for today. Now, one of the biggest things that you need to avoid is, what's it called? Sucralose. So me personally, I've always loved energy drinks because we're so poisoned and our circadian rhythm is just all out of whack. If you're poisoned like me, you need some sort of thing to get you out of bed, and that's caffeine. I've been addicted to energy drinks. Red Bulls, Monster, whatever. But I've had a problem while drinking them. It's very difficult to cut. And that's because I figured out, well, partly it's because of the sucralose. And sucralose is such a killer. Some people like Sam Sulek, you know, you might as well call him Sucralose Sam, because he can just absorb it like a tank and he seems fine. He powers through. I can't. I get way too hungry. If I have anything with sucralose, I'm starving 2 hours later and I'm about to eat the whole store. So that's why coffee in the morning, black coffee, is important, and switching to a pre-workout powder. Sebum's pre-workout powder, cherry limeade, is the best on earth I've had. And I can tell you there's a minimal amount of sucralose. I don't get hungry when I take it. Last thing is salt. It's the gate-kept salt, C90. It's for animals. Good thing we're animals too. And anyways, it's from the Sea of Cortez and has like all these nutrients, or all these minerals in these amounts. And but the Sea of Cortez is like one of the best seas in the world, as far as microplastics, contaminants, mineral count. So you need some sort of salt, okay? And that's a hot topic in this sort of community. But I'm gonna tell you that you can really get messed up if you do no salt. And it depends on the person. I think if you're doing no salt, but you're like super healthy and you don't drink any caffeine, maybe it'll work out well for you, maybe for years. But I think you actually do need some sea salt. And I think there actually is something to Darko Velchek's plasma, which I sometimes drink some, sip some, okay? I'm not blasting, if you know what I mean, but I do sip some of it, which is, you know, the sea salt mixed with water in high concentration. So anyways, those are the basics. Oh, the last thing, don't eat grains. Don't eat grains, because grains for me, I was eating these Belvita crackers, which, holy cow, are they just delicious. And I know they're, you know, total trash, right? Total slave food, whatever, I know. But they're really good, and I was just testing them. But anyways, they, oh man, they just really like clogged up my intestines, and I could literally feel like a bulge in my stomach of like the mass of slave grains. So don't eat any grains. Toast, I tried toast as well, but that seemed to have the same effect as the Belvita crackers, but less, just less of an effect. Okay, but let's see, I think that's everything. Yeah, I think sardines are great. What else do we got? I got some yogurt, and this is let's see what else. I've got yogurt. Oh, I've got this fermented red cabbage. You know, it's German. You know, I'm ancestrally German, so that's like ancestral diet. You know, those help get you full, especially when you want something crunchy. So anyways, with the yogurt, you can substitute that for dinner. That's what I do sometimes. You could do that with maybe cottage cheese. You can also combine these two. You can do that with cottage cheese, or with eggs, or with meat, whatever. So yeah, that's it.